are live. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Please take a moment to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I hope everybody's doing well. We're going to give it a bit of time and wait to see who joins. We got the Friday live stream happening. No specific topics, rather just anything you guys want to talk about. I have been talking about, I posted a video about the price of gas and the effect that will have on our ability for Masonic expenses, or I suppose expenses in general. Give me 1 second. Let me check where it is today. I believe it's at 92 cents. Yesterday it was at 90 cents, if I recall. Let's see. As of February 28th, the price of gas has increased by 93 cents on average per gallon. The average national price in the United States is $3.91 per gallon. That's an increase of 93 cents since February 28th. In Canada, it is $1.70 CAD per liter. So that was roughly $7.73 per gallon Canadian, which is, let me check. Hello, Sarah. I am 42, which is about $5.32, give or take. So our price of gas is getting much higher than the States, but everywhere you go, the price of gas is increasing, and that is going to affect our ability to engage with Freemasonry. So I'm 42 years of age. Hello, Sarah. Hello, Dad. I'm glad you just finished house cleaning. I hope it went well. Tell your house cleaner I say hello. Not having a good day? Well, my day's been interesting as well. I hope it gets better, though, Poke Dream Lab, and thank you so much for being here. I hope you're doing well. By the way, happy Eid al-Fitr, Eid Mubarak to our Muslim brethren, our Muslim friends and family who are celebrating today. The United Grand Lodge of England, many other groups have put out congratulatory notes, and I wish them all the best. And R.I.P. Chuck Norris, by the way. I understand he just passed away. A legend, so. Oh, and the director of Urban Legend and Valentine passed away. Two movies I really love. Jamie Banks, at 54 years of age. Poke says, please. _2. Sarah, thank you for the trophy cake. That is very kind of you. I very much appreciate that. I already maxed out my... Wow, that's 500. That is very kind. I get one more of those, I'll make it over 1,000. I'm very sorry about that, 3_2X. Are you a Freemason? And even if not, I'm very sorry that you are struggling. To my knowledge, no, Trump is not a brother. Trump is not a Freemason. I've never seen any evidence to indicate that he is. So, I mean, I guess it's possible it's being kept really well hidden, but usually, or he just doesn't want to talk about it, but I've seen no evidence that he is, no discussions that he is, no documents that he is. Oh, that sucks. That's one of those things, right? It's kind of when you're dealing with Pokemon cards and all, or any cards or any trading, it's one of those things where you never really know for sure, right? You're always kind of taking a gamble. No, no, not all presidents have to be, Sarah. Somebody's been spending too much time looking at some conspiracy theory stuff. No, that is not the case, despite what people on the chat will say. And no, Donald Trump is not a grandmaster. He's not a Mason. Also, happy equinox. Today is the, I think, vernal equinox or the spring equinox. So there's some celebrations taking place right now in Stonehenge, interestingly enough. Um, so good news today. Happy Eid, happy equinox, and some not so good news today. We're very sorry about the passing of Chuck Norris, horror director and icon as well, Jamie. So we're sad on both counts. What's good, everyone? Richard Wilkins. What about dating, Sarah? What's up? I mean, not Masonic rituals. There's not really, well, actually, in South America, they do have some rituals around the equinox, which is kind of cool. But in Canada, emulation, there's not really any rituals, at least that I'm aware of, that deal with the equinox. But I suppose if you are of, a Celtic faith or Celtic faith, or maybe pagan or Wiccan, it may be. Oh, well, hello, my dad's house cleaner. Keep him in line for me. It's tough to do, so please keep him in line. I'd be much obliged. Yes, he was a true legend. I concur with that. So, RIP. But hey, he led a really good life. So, who is back? He had a fist in his beard. Absolutely. I mean, I remember all the Chuck Norris jokes from back in the day. Jokes, maybe they weren't so much. Like Chuck Norris doesn't do push ups, he pushes the earth down and it comes back up. I've heard that one before. Isn't that from The Walking Dead? Which I don't think isn't Chuck Norris, unless that's a Chuck Norris quote I'm not familiar with. It's not a charity thing. It is a community services fair. It's taking place March 28th from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. at the Windsor Masonic Temple. It's free admission. It's a chance to learn about different community services within Windsor, Ontario. It could include, we're going to have police, fire, a lot of different groups and organizations there. It's going to be really special and really fun. Free admission is going to be coffee there as well. So I hope that you guys will check it out. Well, ultimately, the lodge decides. Old Minty, they have to have an application process, and everybody gets to vote, right? Admission is democratically selected, and you can't really ask a brother's reasons for voting. Generally speaking, it could be if there's a criminal record and if it's a significant enough criminal offense. That doesn't mean you can't apply with a criminal record. You can and you should if you're interested. Just understand, depending on how significant the offense is, it may not be successful, but you can still apply. If you're too young, that's another one. It could also be if you don't necessarily believe in a supreme being, although that can be very liberally defined. Well, I don't know why either. Maybe they just decided they didn't enjoy it anymore. They got burnt out. It's very possible. That's true, but it is very, very difficult and very hard to necessarily know what the right or wrong reasons are when it comes to joining. So, I'm doing well, Mr. Keeps. How are you doing on this wonderful day? Doing good is good. I don't know about everyone else's weather, but in the Midwest US is unreasonably warm today, which is nice. Yes, Richard Wilkins, we all are missing Chuck Norris very much. So, who was not? I'm sure somebody's going to ask it. I'm kind of curious now. To my knowledge, Chuck Norris was not a Freemason, but let's check. Maybe he was. Based on available public records, biographies, and lists of notable members, there is no evidence to suggest that actor and martial artist Chuck Norris is a Freemason. He is a prominent Christian and conservative figure, but not associated with Freemasonry. Well, there you go. Yeah, I thought that was a quote from The Walking Dead. So yeah, Sarah, March 28th, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait. It's free, and there's going to be all sorts of different community services and programs from in and around Windsor and Essex County, which I encourage you to check out. And again, to any brothers who may be celebrating it, happy Eid al-Mubarak, or sorry, Eid al-Fitr. I believe this marks the end of Ramadan, so. Well, it's not really how it works. Freemasonry is not a military organization or a political organization, so I don't think we would be. I mean, Mr. Keeps, if you want to come down, you're more than welcome, of course. I mean, I can't promise I'll be able to spend a ton of time with you because I'll be super busy. But any time that you can be down, or for any length of time you can be down, it would be much obliged. Oh, interesting. It is also the International Day of La Francophonie. I've talked a million times about how we in Freemasonry can communicate in multiple languages and should, so that's really cool as well. Nathaniel Bedford Forrest was a Freemason and part of the KKK, which to me indicates a lack of understanding of what the understanding of Freemasonry is or what the principles of Freemasonry is or are, but that's the one I know of. That's the exclusive one I know of. Well, hopefully that indicates a growth in his life, and that indicates a recognition that what he believed in the KKK or the teachers of the KKK were wrong and wanted to join an organization that is focused on universality and tolerance and respect, is at least what I would hope that indicates. I mean, I would, for example, if somebody had been a member of any type of hate group, but had made changes in their lives and renounced that way of thinking and those ideas, I would have no problem letting them into Freemasonry so long as I was sufficiently convinced that they had a change, if not in their, in their heart, in their mind. Pick your term. Well, I cannot speak French. Yes, Eid Mubarak indeed. I sadly cannot speak French, although back when I was creating the summonses for the lodge, I had a French brother create messaging in both French and English, which I really was proud of doing that. As well as occasionally I had a First Nations brother include a message in Ojibwe. So that was really cool as well. Well then, happy day à la francophonie to all of the people here who speak French. I'm trying to do this for a living, Old Minty, so help me out. Leave a like, leave a super chat, leave a comment. All that stuff would help out big time, and I'd be grateful. You speak Creole, French, and obviously, hey, I speak English and bad English, so you're one language up on me. I'm also a professional wrestler, or at least a professional wrestling referee, and I'm grateful for that as well. We have actually wrestling coming up March 27th and 28th. So it's going to be a very busy few days for me that weekend, that's for sure. No, no, you had a French accent, but not a mega French accent. I mean, certainly not an accent that was like made it difficult to understand you by any means. Team USA wins gold. Oh, you're trolling me because I had that bet. Which Team USA um um are you talking about the men's, the women's, or the sled? Because all three won gold. Cody Rhodes is an incredible wrestler. By the way, Team USA, please hit the like button and the subscribe button. Well, what I would suggest is well, don't forget about sled hockey. Um, First time any country's done a clean sweep. Don't forget Minty. I mean, there's plenty of stuff you can study without joining. I would suggest starting with Freemasonry for Dummies by Chris Hodap. I think is a very valuable place to start. I've also written a lot about Freemasonry. You can check out my work on Medium, and I would include Good Worshipful Masters Borrow, Great Worshipful Masters Steal, which is a Medium story I published, which has a whole list of free resources you can get. Well, you're welcome to meet me, Sarah. However, it's not a lodge fundraiser, right? It's not a fundraiser, it's not a charity. It's being put on through Square and Compass Promotions. It really is just an opportunity to um, learn about community resources in Windsor and in Essex. Well, you don't need money to become a Mason. Like, you don't need to be rich. There are dues that you have to pay per year and initiation fees. They're relatively inexpensive. I mean, having said that, though, it's still relatively inexpensive, right? And certainly, if you're struggling financially, it may be the best case to start by focusing on getting your finances in order and then focus on Freemasonry. Um, Hello, Travis the Pirate. L. Witch Doctor, I agree. R.I.P. Chuck Norris. One of the greats. So, and I hope everybody watching this is doing well. Everyone have a great weekend. Happy again, Eid al Fitr. Happy Eid Mubarak to my Islamic brethren, friends. I think it's crazy. I think it's crazy the amount it's costing. Okay, I mean, I'm sure many Masons are. I've been a Mason for 20 years. I'm not into Kabbalah. I know very little about it. I mean, there are some Masons who join and are really into any number of different kind of esoteric studies or philosophical studies. Um, I don't know much about Telema. Welcome to Jurassic Park. It's pronounced Al Fitur. I always thought it was pronounced Al Fitir. Okay. Al Fitur. All right. Um, Eid al Fitur. If I was in the Freemasons, well, you could be a part of anything you want to be. I mean, if you're part of a group that's illegal, obviously, then the answer is no. But that also is something you cannot be a part of, even if you're not a Freemason. But I mean, if you want to be part of Freemasonry and I don't know, your local knitting club or whatever it is, of course, Freemasonry is not going to tell you what you can and can't do in your day to day life. That is something a cult might do. What is a code 93? I don't know what code 93 means, but okay. It depends on the non-member to which you're talking about. Um, Well, I do not know. I mean, many non-members have no opinions about Freemasonry one way or the other, or have no thoughts about it. There are many who actually know about Freemasonry, respect Freemasonry, but aren't interested in joining. And there are many others who, yeah, do have more negative views on Freemasonry, unfortunately. Maybe in some ways this channel can help change that. Um, but there definitely can be misconceptions. There's no question. I mean, that is not true. At least it shouldn't be true, right? We as Freemasons should be complying with the law. I would never want any Masonic police officer to let me off of a ticket. Now, do friends help other friends? I suppose it's possible, but it shouldn't happen. So I would say there's no rule that says being a Freemason gets you out of traffic tickets, and there shouldn't be. And if you are a Freemason and you're trying to use your Masonic status to get out of parking tickets or get out of speeding tickets, you're doing things wrong, and you should do better. And if you're a police officer and a Freemason and you're letting people get away with stuff because they're Freemasons, same thing, you're doing Freemasonry wrong. Um, I mean, the idea of having no clue, I would say no. Um, the, it's very hard for people nowadays to have no clue about Freemasonry because there's enough stuff online, enough stuff on social media, enough documentaries that if you're interested in Freemasonry, it's almost for sure that you would have at least spent some time reviewing it and studying it and learning a little bit about it. So to expect somebody to come in with no clue is kind of unreasonable. Having said that, in my opinion, the less you know before you join, in many ways, the better about the specific rituals. What you want to focus on is the brethren in the lodge. Do you like them? Do you get along with them? Do you enjoy their company? Do you like the building and feel at home there? That stuff is the most important. Knowing too much about the ritual, it takes away from the actual experience of it because you go in expecting things instead of just experiencing things. And happiness is reality minus expectation. Um, I know what the Knights Templar. I don't know what the Knights Template is. That is true. Karen Voice. Well, Jim, this Karen Voice is asking you to hit the like and subscribe button. Tell us about the Knights Templar. What do you want to know about the Knights Templar? Can someone? Yes, we have many Freemasons who are Christian, many Freemasons who would say that Jesus Christ is their Savior. Freemasonry is not religious. But by the same token, what that means is we do not deny anyone for their religious beliefs either, right? So you can be Christian, Muslim, Jewish, Hindu, Sikh. Freemasonry is a civic organization. Well, I am in a wheelchair, but honestly, I'm just too lazy to take care of my hair properly. So keeping it shaved is the simplest way to deal with these things. Because I'm very lazy, right? When it comes to hygiene and stuff like that, I'm not gonna lie, it's one thing I should be better at. So maybe one day I'll get better. Clint Eastwood from which movie is a very good question. Somebody gonna ask me to talk about the Knights Templar. I mean, again, there's the historical Knights Templar of Friday the 13th fame or Friday the 13th infamy, final Grand Master being Jacques de Molay. There's the York Rite Body Knights Templar, which is the highest chapter within the York Rite. So need a little bit more specifics. I am. I use a wheelchair. Have you heard Ozzy, Mr. Crowley? I mean, I don't, I think you're asking about disability. I'm Canadian, so it's not Social Security. I am from Canada, so we would have ODSP and disability. I think it depends, but I think I could. I don't. Trying to rely on this, but it's possible. Well, does it change everything and you want to give me a super chat and a like and a subscription and some gifts? Because by all means, you can do that through the YouTube channel. I got some cake earlier today and I was grateful for that. So we got 500 rubies at the moment. So thank you so much. I will take a super chat by all means. And we're going to wait to see you joins. By the way, I'll be back on tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern. And we're going to do a bit of a content marathon. We'll see how long we go. I've never talked to the East Wall. I'm not sure what you mean by the East Wall. Sled hockey, of course, I'm Canadian, right? I'm a Canadian first, a Freemason second. So obviously, I want my Canadian teams to win, all of them. But it's not how it works, Google Chrome. But still, silver ain't too bad, right? Silver ain't too bad. Well, I think the East Wall reference is a reference to the East Wall in Jerusalem, right? I've taken a trip to the East. I mean, I've been the worshipful master. I'm currently worshipful master of a lodge. So, yes. Within Freemasonry, they talk about traveling to the East a lot. But I'm not a huge fan of that as a metaphor. I mean, worshipful master sits in the East. So I'm grateful to be a worshipful master of the lodge. No, a worshipful master, it's no different than judges being called your worship, or even some mayors are called your worship. It's an old title. It doesn't mean worship in religious sense. It just means worthy of respect. And really, it's the office that they're celebrating. We got oh, thank you so much. We got some flowers. Depends, Nicholas. I can't make any promises. What might the favor be? Or you can shoot me off an email. That's usually the best way to contact me. Or a text message works well also. But those bouquets were awesome. Thank you so much. I don't think so. Who is the Gurin family? To whom is this Gurin family of which you speak? Whether there are or are not modes of recognition, I guess you have to join to find out. I mean, my favorite sports movie of all time is Friday Night Lights. I think it's an incredible movie. Uh, I mean, I don't think I do it on this channel. I can do it on my personal YouTube channel. Go to my other YouTube channel at Cameron Adamson and leave a comment or send an email. We'll see if we can pick a date to do it. Welcome back, Connor. Thoughts on Scientology? I have no thoughts on Scientology because it's not something I know almost anything about. To my knowledge, it's a religion. So, I think that I have nothing but respect for it as a religion, as I do for anyone's religion. I have no problem sitting with a Masonic lodge, sitting with a brother in a Masonic lodge whose Scientology is his kind of faith or supreme being. but I don't know much more about it to be able to say. Um, I don't want to judge anything as necessarily occult, because again, it's not something I know enough about to say. Arrogance, I think, is always going to be anyone's demise. Hubris, there's all sorts of stories about being hubristic without a doubt. So, I mean, Sarah, however people come across and find their religion, it's not my place necessarily to judge it positively or negatively. If it brings them comfort and happiness and they're not doing anything illegal, then, you know, I have no, then I suppose good for them, I guess is what I'd say. No, at least he shouldn't go easy. Now, if he were a Mason and aware that I'm a Mason, maybe the best approach would be to just recuse himself from the case altogether because no matter what he does, he's going to get judged, right? If he goes super easy on somebody, then people will say, well, it's because he was a Freemason. If he goes super hard on him, people will also say, well, it's because he was a Freemason and he went harder on them than he would other people. So nobody thought there was so that nobody believed that there was a conflict of interest. So no matter what he does, there's going to be an accusation or a belief of bias. In that case, I think the best approach altogether is simply to remove yourself from the case. I mean, Masons operate on the policy of we're not going to discriminate. So it's not don't ask, don't tell. I mean, we're not going to ask, right? Nobody's going to, you shouldn't be asked if you're gay or straight because that should have nothing to do with whether you can be a Freemason or not. Having said that, if you want to bring your wife to a Masonic event, that's great. If you want to bring your husband to a Masonic event, that's great. If you want to bring your partner who's gay or straight or whatever it is to a Masonic event, that's great, right? It's not about judging anyone's orientation or sexuality, nor should we, right? I've known gay Freemasons and straight Freemasons. The biggest upset, I don't really follow sports enough to know what the biggest upset would be in sports history. I can't really think. I mean, I wouldn't be able to say. I suppose Miracle on Ice, that's the one that got the most press attention. I walk into the hall and do a little spin and say fashion and snap my fingers all the time, good sir. So don't you worry about it. Laud, please knock on the western door thrice. Well, you can start the application process. That's a good approach to take and see what happens. Once again, I hope everybody is doing well. Thank you all for being here. Please take a moment, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Let me know how you're doing. If there's anything you want to talk about, we're just hanging out, chatting. Tomorrow, I'm going to start watching The Long Walk at 2 p.m. Eastern. So I hope to see you all there. Thank you for the clapping seal. So yes, Sarah, you're going to be there on March 28th. Like I said, it's free admission. You're more than welcome to join. I'm going to be busy running around a bit, but hopefully I get a chance to talk to any of my Square and Compass Promotions peeps. And it should be a lot of fun. Good morning, Barry Pulaski. How's it going? If you can't be, no worries at all. I hope you're doing well. Barry, thanks for being here. I have no idea. Again, I can't speak to Music. I mean, I've talked about Freemasonry in sports before. There are Freemasons who've sponsored sports teams, things like that. Um, it's interesting. I can't really speak to what you would think. I mean, I can sometimes think about professional wrestling upsets. Like I'm trying to think of some really good example of professional wrestling upsets. Let's see what I can find. 1-2-3 Kid defeating Razor Ramon. The Hurricane defeating The Rock. I mean, Eddie Guerrero beating Brock Lesnar, but I don't think that was an upset. I think a lot of people expected Eddie Guerrero to win. Um, Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, but I don't know if you would call that an upset. I would say Sheamus, John Cena, where Sheamus won the title. 90. It's very hot. It's very, very warm. The henchman says, repent and turn to Jesus. Well, I don't think I need to repent, nor do I think I need to return to Jesus, but it's still great to have you here. I hope you're doing well. Please take a moment, hit that like button, and hit that subscribe button. No, I think everybody expected Cody Rhodes to win. So I don't think that was a big upset. You could argue maybe, you could argue maybe when Cody Rhodes lost at WrestleMania 39, it was a big upset because I think most people expected him to finish the story at that point. But I think it was the right decision to make on both accounts to have Cody Rhodes lose and then spend the next year chasing. I think it ultimately worked out very well. No, I wouldn't say Jesus is my savior because I'm not Christian. So it would be wrong of me to say that he's my savior. Having said that, we have many Christian Freemasons. They are, as much a part of Freemasonry as any other religious group or affiliation. There are many Christians who are actually even pastors who've been Freemasons. So I suppose there you go. Really? I did not know that some of those guys were Freemasons. I don't think I knew any of them were. I knew, for example, Harley Race is a Freemason or was a Freemason. Damien Sandow. Um, those are some big names. Whipper Billy Watson is a icon. So is Gordon Soley. Well, Gnostic, which is a Greek word, it means wisdom. It's a kind of, I think, religion or at least a philosophy. I'm not sure to what extent you can call it a religion. It's certainly a philosophy. It comes from gnosis, which is Greek for wisdom. I think it has a Christian undertones to it. Who, in my opinion, who is the greatest wrestler of all time? Oh my gosh, what a question that is. John Cena, though. Got to go with John Cena. Other answers that are up there would be Bret Hart, Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Kenny Omega, I think deserves to be in the running, Brock Lesnar, Luthez, but I'm gonna have to go with um, I'm gonna have to go with John Cena. Excuse me. This tattoo, which says the next one, is in honor of John Cena. Andre the Giant. He's definitely the greatest giant or the greatest big man of all time. There's no question about that. That cannot be denied. And I think Team USA is absolutely correct as well. Hulk Hogan is the reason wrestling is as big as it is. There's no doubt about that at all. But we've talked about professional wrestlers who are Freemasons on this stream before. Again, the biggest one, and to my mind, the most impressive one would be Harley Race, who's a classic. but there's a lot of great professional wrestlers out there. So trying to pick your favorite is really, really tough because there's been so many incredible ones. Wow, that is incredible. And that was obviously Hogan and Andre, Hogan slamming Andre. Um, that's iconic. That's as iconic a match as there could be. As iconic a moment as there could be. Professional wrestling life, I think, ultimately is all about moments. That's what makes it special. And Hulk Hogan picking up and slamming Andre was a moment. So I liked the Iron Claw a lot. I thought it was great. Definitely had some tears at the end of it, but it was a pretty incredible movie, no doubt. I watched that match. It's really, really good. In my opinion, the greatest WrestleMania match would either be Bret Hart Stone Cold at WrestleMania 13, which is really good, or um, um, Hogan Rock at WrestleMania 18 was really incredible, or I'm trying to think of what else. I would say either Hart Austin 13 or Hogan Rock 18. What an incredible match that was. Both of those matches were. Or the Iron Man match, Michaels Hart WrestleMania 12. And that's the bottom line because Stone Cold said so. I would say for most people my age who kind of grew up in the Attitude Era, Stone Cold is maybe the GOAT, or maybe a GOAT, that's for sure. We're just hanging out waiting to see who joins. Once again, please take a moment, hit that like button and that subscribe button. I would be truly grateful. Oh, NWO for, how does it go again? For life. They were incredible. Their music was absolutely unbelievable. That was Hogan coming out to Voodoo Child, right? Might have been one of the coolest things I've ever seen. Yes, like and subscribe indeed. But Voodoo Child coming through with Voodoo Child was so cool. Thank you for the sun. That is really cool. We're getting close to 2,000 rubies, so thank you for all those gifts. Keep it coming. I'm sure they did. Are you talking about China the wrestler or China the country? There is Freemasonry in China, on a side note. There is Freemasonry in China, Grand Lodge in Hong Kong, as well as the Lodge in Macau. There's no Freemasonry on mainland China necessarily, although there are, I believe, some lodges acting underground. Um, Once again, if you didn't see me talking about it this morning or earlier on in the stream, I did do a video about the price of gas. Right now, the price of gas on average in the United States has increased by 93 cents. My suspicion is we might hit over $1 next next week. So we're going to see to what extent that affects Freemasonry as well. Again, somebody, and I was very grateful for them on the last channel, taking, or on the last stream, taking a few moments um, to talk about, his struggles. He said he had a Masonic funeral he wanted to go to, but he could not because it was about 3 hour drive and the cost of gas would just be too expensive. To drive there and back um, would be basically $100 in gas, which would be his grocery food. That's true, Barry Pulaski, but I do understand there may be some lodges or at least some Masons there. Now, whether they can meet officially or unofficially, I don't know. I can't speak to that. Um, but there is, again, Freemasonry in China and there is Freemasonry in Macau. Um, and there is, Grand Lodge of China, which BC, there's some lodges in BC. It's somewhat like Iran. There is the Grand Lodge of Iran in exile, which meets in Los Angeles, right? And speaking of professional wrestling, welcome back Edge or Adam Copeland, if you will, and Christian Cage, who are back in an AEW ring. I think it's been about 6 months. They came back at the pay-per-view. I guess they're up against the Young Bucks. We are hanging out waiting to see who joins. Please take a moment, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and consider a super chat or a gift. And Barry, how's it going? Any plans for the weekend? We're just going to wait to see who joins. So click Proverbs, the fear of Jehovah is the beginning of knowledge. So do you think that we as Freemasons do not have adequate fear for Jehovah? What is it you mean by what you're saying? And we're just waiting to see who joins. Again, I have no real topics for this stream, so it's mostly hangout and chat stream. Wait to see who finds it. Anything you want to talk about, though, please let me know. Hit that like and subscribe button. Well, you say that, but I don't know what the few things of the few things are. You seem to not know as much as you think you do. Mostly you speak in riddles, and it's very confusing. It's interesting, I suppose, but it's very confusing as well. Hey, nothing but respect to them. I'm Canadian, so I was very sad. Um, I was very sad that they lost. I wish that the Canadian team had won. Having said that, it's been great to see sled hockey getting, in my opinion, the respect it deserves on social media. Pat McAfee has been posting and tweeting about it. Actually, did an interview with the American sled hockey team, which was really cool. Oh, 1.8. We are 200, less than 200 rubies away. So one more gift two more gifts might get close to it. And I think it's awesome to see. I grew up playing wheelchair sports. Specifically, I grew up um, with, I grew up with, um, wheelchair track, which I loved. I grew up with playing some wheelchair basketball here and there, primarily the wheelchair track. I absolutely love it. And so I love to see wheelchair sports getting the respect they deserve. I think that's very awesome and it's about time too. And it's also really cool to see, you know, a country get a clean sweep. I wish it wasn't against us, but to win the American women's, men's, and sled hockey, I think is really, really cool. The other thing I thought was really awesome is the fact that I have a couple of um, bets with my American brethren. So I owe them a bottle of whiskey, and I owe them a bottle of whiskey, and I owe them a coin, which I'm going to give to them on March 28th at our community services celebration. Um, I got to figure out what type of Canadian whiskey to get them. I've got some good suggestions though, so that's nice. A wise person will take more instruction and a man of understanding. So, Proverbs, then the question is, if you are a wise man, will you take my instruction or you take my skillful direction? Or do you think you're wiser than I am? Because that's one of those things where, um, that's one of those questions where, again, you'll say something like a wise man takes instruction, but then the question becomes, maybe you're not as wise as you think, and maybe you require instruction. We are just hanging out, waiting to see who joins. Again, nothing specific to talk about today. Just hang out, chat, no specific discussions. I will be on tomorrow at 2 p.m. watching The Long Walk, one of my favorite movies. I'm very excited for it, so it should be a lot of fun. We got a wavy hand. A marshmallow hi. Marshmallow hello to you as well. Thank you so much for that. Honestly, I think it'd be probably relatively easy to do in the chair. Um, I mean, I don't know. Like going up the hills would suck, but 4 miles an hour in a chair is not that crazy. It's not that long, um, or not that fast, I should say. And I feel like everybody else would be very upset with me for being able to sit down, because I'm sure being able to sit down during that long walk would be something they'd be grateful for. But going up a hill would suck. I don't know. I feel like I probably have some pretty decent advantages, to be honest. But I mean, I think I've said it before. I think that's a great movie, The Long Walk. I think there's really cool Masonic connections in that movie, and I think there's things that we within Freemasonry can absolutely take from it. I read the book. I love the book. Uh, the book is the book is maybe my favorite book. I mean, it's that or it's Don Quixote. It's one or the other. Both of them, I think, are absolutely incredible. So, yeah, that's what we're going to start with tomorrow. We're going to start that tomorrow by watching The Long Walk starting at 2 p.m. And then I was thinking of watching Angel, and then I was thinking of watching uh, Sleepy Hollow, trying to find different movies, media that I think have a Masonic connection, and then talking about the way or what I think those Masonic connections are and how I think we can apply them to our Masonic experiences. Tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern. Now, I don't know if you can find it for free. I'll be watching it through um, Medium, or sorry, through Prime, which is where I'll be able to find it. But there might be, it's not on Tubi to my knowledge. So I'm not sure what the best streaming service is to find it, but I'm going to get it through Prime. Well, then, Mr. Keeps, I look forward to seeing you tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Well, there you go. See, I'm normally I don't like to, like as a general rule, I don't like to watch movies on my channel that aren't available on a free streaming service. It could be Tubi, it could be Pluto TV, it could be um, you know, Freevee, because obviously I want everybody to be able to watch it. I don't want people to be stuck kind of in this situation where they can't watch it without the services. Having said that, with having to pay for a service. Having said that, when it comes to the long walk, I think it's necessary. Well, not one of those sites, Travis, a legitimate site like Tubi, which I've said it before, in my opinion, the best streaming service, free or not, on the internet, on the internets. Especially lately in Canada, Tubi is absolutely crushing it. If you look at the different movies they've got on there at the moment, they're so good. They've got The Informers, they've got Halloween 2 by Rob Zombie, ton of great horror flicks. It's awesome stuff. By the way, I'm at 1.9 thousand, so basically 1,900 rubies. I'm almost at 2,000, so help a brother out. We just need, let's say, 100 more rubies to get to 2,000, thereabout. So consider some of those lucky shamrocks, if you will. Helping me turn my passion for Freemasonry into profession. And no, Travis, not that type of site. I would never encourage streaming on a channel. Also, I've been thinking about watching season 2 of The Pit, and I'll let you guys know. Maybe we'll watch some of that as well. That would be a really interesting movie. Not just people in wheelchairs, but just anybody with a disability, right? I mean, I could see a movie like that being really good, and there have been many times historically when unfortunately societies have considered disabled people to be a burden and have eliminated them. I mean, maybe the most well-known current example might be Nazi Germany, as one, for example. You know, it does kind of, I think we have to remember, I think one thing Freemasonry does teach us is that people of all different abilities are welcome, can be good neighbors, can be good friends, can be, good members of the community. Well, I mean, I suppose, Travis the Pirate, the way that you would make it work, ultimately what you would do is, maybe you could even have it where you have a family that's hiding a child. Maybe they have a son or a daughter who's disabled, and they're trying to hide it from the authorities because they don't want it to participate. They don't want him or her to participate in this competition. So, I think that'd be really cool. Have I checked out any One Piece? I'm not sure what that is. Yes, Doe. I'm gonna call you DEO. I am a wise potato. Please hit like. Please hit subscribe. Consider a super chat. Consider one of these gifts. I'm almost at 2,000 rubies, so help me out. Help a brother out. Hit like. Hit subscribe. The Long Walk is on Netflix, or One Piece live action is on Netflix. I don't have Netflix. That's something I should get. Although, in my experience, the best site for paid streaming is actually Disney Plus. Help a brother out indeed. Mr. Keeps helps me out plenty, and I'm grateful for that as well. Thank you for helping me turn my passion for Freemasonry into a profession. Even before you could do the super chats and the gifts, sending me, macaroni and cheese and coffee and tuna was much obliged. Oh, see, I don't really follow a lot of anime, Travis the Pirate. I wonder if there's any Masonic connections in anime. None that I'm aware of. But it'd be cool to kind of check it out and find out. What is your favorite anime, would you say? To me, the really cool and most recent um, movie or show I saw that had a Masonic connection, of which I was not aware, was actually, um, I can't think of it now, was actually Sleepy Hollow. So we may talk about that on March 21st also. People don't realize it, but there's some really cool Masonic connections there. Spell check will do that to you. Click Mon spell chat or click spell chat will do that to you. It's part of, I think, famous autocorrect and all the jokes around autocorrect. All the people trying to send comments and not being successful with it because autocorrect keeps changing things. I was born disabled. I was born missing my legs. So when people ask me, what happened to my legs, I always answer never had them. Um, But it's interesting. The history of Freemasons being, disabled Masons is really interesting. In Ontario, it started after World War I, when a lot of veterans returning from the war were missing their legs and arms and were being denied admission to Freemasonry because there was a rule that to be a Freemason, you had to be a whole person. Um, and so they changed the rules in the 1920s because for obvious reasons it was obviously a very perverse result to tell a soldier who lost his limbs fighting for our country that he was not able to be a Freemason. So what they did is they changed the rules to allow those who were not themselves, who were missing limbs, to join Freemasonry. That was in the 1920s. So that's a really cool thing, I always thought, and a little piece of interesting Masonic trivia and interesting Masonic lore. What type of niche would that be, Google Chrome? I don't know if anybody would be more interested in my stuff because I'm missing my legs. I mean, when I was doing the push-up challenge, people saw that I was missing my legs, right? Because to see me doing the push-ups, they saw me missing the legs. So I suppose that is an example of being aware of it. But I would hope people would be most interested in me because of the things I can say about Freemasonry. So Freemasons may or may not have a dress code. It completely depends on the jurisdiction. What I would say is in Ontario we do. It's usually suit and tie. In uh, Michigan, I believe they do as well. In other jurisdictions, they do not. In terms of hair, no, there's no requirement. You can have long hair, short hair, anything in between. I would say, generally speaking, though, it's expected that you will show up in a Masonic lodge and you will show up in a Masonic lodge and you will be presentable, if nothing else. Today apparently is International Day of Happiness. I did not know that. Let me double check. Oh, it is. Friday, March 20th is International Day of Happiness. What makes you happy? I don't know. It would pump the super chats. Well, I'm missing my legs. So if anybody wants to help a brother out because I'm missing my legs, then give me some super chats. I would be much obliged. Please hit like, please hit subscribe as well. And thank you all for being here. And on I think Happy International Day of Happiness. It's crazy to think that within Freemason, this day everything's falling on it. It's International Day of Happiness. It's Eid al-Fitr or Fitur or Eid Mubarak. It is International Day à la Francophonie. And then on sad news, it's also the passing of Chuck Norris, excuse me. But that does make me want to ask you the question, what makes you happy? I don't know what day Trans Day Visibility is, but by all means, you can give me a super chat whenever you want, including on Trans Day Visibility. I I do think, and I've mentioned this before, that trans people in general very often are more at risk of all sorts of things. And so, um, you know, self-harm, harm by others. So to be victimized, to be the victims of crime. So it doesn't hurt to have a day visibly for them, that's for sure. Um, In the meantime, though, we're just hanging out, waiting to see who joins. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Happy International Day of Happiness. Happy Day of Francophonie. And happy, um, and happy Eid al-Fitr to all of the Islamic brethren out there. And also, it's wonderful to see so many Masonic groups and organizations posting to support our brothers who are Muslim, who are of the Islamic faith. Grand Lodge of England posted something. Many Grand Lodges and many lodges have been posting congratulations. So I think that's awesome. Jason, thank you for the thumbs up. Jason, let me ask you a question. What makes you happy, Mr. Keeps? Same thing. What makes you happy on this International Day of Happiness? Ave Deus, that is awesome. Good for you. If Jesus makes you happy, more power to you. Jason Shank, if inner peace makes you happy, more power to you. Um, I mean, if you are of the Christian faith, then I suppose what you would believe is that everyone, he is the God of everyone, whether it be Freemasons or not. if you're asking about like if there's a patron saint of Freemasons, it's actually Saint John the Baptist. No conflicts, no stress, easygoing relationships. That's very good. Basic necessities, friends, family, a peaceful life, good mental health, and God. That is also some very good things that should make us all happy. So that is awesome as well. What's going on? No filter. I am less than 100 rubies away from 2,000. So help a brother out. Do some of those gifts. Get me over 2,000. I think that'd be really cool. It's not really official because Freemasonry is not a religion, so it's not really an official patron saint. But Freemasonry was formed on June 24th, 1717, or at least the Grand Lodge was formed June 24th, 1717. And because it was formed on June 24th, many people say that the patron saint of Freemasonry is Saint John the Baptist because June 24th is the feast of Saint John or Saint John's Day. Um, I will go to the cookout happily. I would love to go to the cookout. It'd be a lot of fun. Yeah, it's an interesting little fact. I mean, they say sometimes both Saint John the Baptist and Saint John the Evangelist are the patron saints of Freemasonry. I don't really know why Saint John the Evangelist. I don't even know who Saint John the Evangelist is, to be honest. I know a little bit about Saint John the Baptist. No, no blood drinking of any sort. If anybody is drinking blood, don't. Aside from the fact that I'm pretty sure it's illegal, or obviously it's illegal. It's also probably very medically dangerous. So I'd recommend not doing it. Once again, please hit that like button. Please hit that subscribe button. Let's see if we can get over 2,000 rubies. I don't know how close we are, but we're almost there. And I think it'd be really cool to get those gifts. It's funny, the gifts have been going really well. People seem to like them a lot. Um, you can even get the hat to stay on my head if you want. So that's fun. I do not know how to disable spell correct, but I'm sure if you found a way, everybody would want to know it because many people get frustrated. I don't think you want to disable spell correct. I think what you're trying to disable is autocorrect, right? Because spell correct, it'll tell you, hey, you spelled this wrong, or at least it thinks that you spelled this thing wrong, but that doesn't mean that it'll automatically change it. I mean, again, that is a religious idea, and it's certainly fine. Ave Deus, many people will have that religious belief. However, I guess what I'd say is up to you. You know, every Mason is free to believe what he so chooses when it comes to his religious beliefs. As Polk points out, both of those things are true. So, my supreme being is the rational nature of the universe as expressed through geometry. It makes its will known to us through our ability to understand the universe, through, amongst other things, through scientific discovery and through the fact that we can test things and get predictable, repeatable results. And it will favor us to the extent that we live in accordance with it. Virtue is living in accordance with nature and these natural laws. Bohemian Grove has nothing to do with Freemasonry. I know that. So there you go. I mean, the cross is a geometric shape, but so is anything, right? That's a shape. Um, it's a symmetrical shape, but so is a cube, so is a circle, so it can be a triangle. It just depends on how you split it, I suppose. No, it does not totally. So there you go. Deal with that. click Mon. You can say yes, it does totally. It's not really a good argument. I'm sure we do, Ave Deus. I think the biggest difference, at least that I can see, is your religion seems to be front and center in your life, which there's nothing wrong with, but it's not necessarily my faith or my religion. Although I'm sure there are parallels between what you believe and what I believe. At least it wouldn't shock me if there were these parallels. I'm not trying to recruit anybody. I'm trying to talk about how much I love Freemasonry. Now, if other people see me talking about how much I love Freemasonry and decide they want to join, I think that's awesome. But it's also not, I don't expect anybody to join because I'm talking about it. In the same way, I don't, if I'm talking about my favorite movie, that doesn't mean I expect other people to watch the movie as well. Well, I think the logo you're talking about is this one. Right, the square and compasses with the G in the middle. Which, that was my very first Masonic tattoo. We're going to give it a bit more time. We're just waiting to see who joins. Please take a moment, hit that like button and subscribe button. Consider a Masonic, or consider a Masonic. Geez, consider a gift. One of the gifts we've got, we're almost at 2,000 rubies. So let's see if we can get there before the stream is over. If not, 1.9 is still pretty good. It does actually, because how we vote in lodges is there's a white ball and a black ball. So yeah, it does. I mean, tattoos are one of those things. Once you get one or two, people tend to get very addicted to them and keep getting them. At least that's been my experience. Tribal tattoos are fun because you can combine them all into like a sleeve, which a lot of people do. Well, trinities in general are very interesting because trinities are just seem to be a very consistent standard part of the world of life. I mean, there's trinities of time, past, present, and future. There's trinities of matter, right? Solid, liquid, gas. There's trinities. Obviously, people talk about the Holy Trinity. There's trinities within Freemasonry. I mean, trinities in general. It's really fascinating. It's trinities of gods. Like if you look at ancient Greek, you had Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades were all brothers, right? So it's kind of interesting the way Trinity interesting the way Trinities so very frequently come up in nature, or at least in our mythology. Um, well, I go and I get my tattoos with my friends at um, Advanced Tattoo, which is on OLED. Well, we have, I mean, you could argue we have trinities in Freemasonry, sure. Like the three principal officers are this worshipful master, the senior warden, and the junior warden. That's a kind of a trinity. In some jurisdictions, you need three members to form what's the word? To form a quorum, right? So you do see trinities. Many lodges are actually called Trinity Lodge. That's very common. Sometimes usually it's called Trinity Lodge because they formed from three other lodges, three lodges that became one. So um, to have, I mean, no, it's just a number of quorum that you need, right? Hierarchy is not a pyramid scheme. Hierarchy just refers to different levels of authority within a particular situation. What makes something a pyramid scheme is the extent to which you're trying to recruit people for different levels, and the number of people you recruit results in you getting more money. We're not trying to recruit, and no matter how many members we get in, we still get the same amount of money, which is zero. So you need to keep that in mind as well. Pyramid schemes are financial incentives where you push people up the hierarchy, the goal being to make more money from them. I never talk about rituals specifically. I only say there's nothing. Ooh, about to sneeze. There's nothing in any Masonic ritual that is illegal, immoral, or against one's civic, religious, or moral responsibilities. I've never seen anyone executed or an execution ritual. How many 33rd degree Grand Masons? But again, if you want to know the specifics of what a Masonic ritual is, you got to look at joining. I have no idea. I mean, 33rd, you wouldn't use the term Grand Masons necessarily. Number 33rds, I don't know, because there's different jurisdictions, right? So there's no single, like there's the Northern Masonic jurisdiction, there's a Southern Masonic jurisdiction, there's Supreme Council of Canada, there's Scottish Rite in Europe and South America, so I have no idea how many 33rd degree Grand Masons are alive today. I know, personally, I know 3 or 4, so there's that. I couldn't give a shot. I have no idea. And that's the thing, Ave, and that shows a misunderstanding of Freemasonry, right? It's, yes, it is well organized, but it's not a centralized and organized organization. That's the thing you need to remember. There's a Grand Lodge in Texas, there's a Grand Lodge in New York, there's a Grand Lodge in Ontario. There's no single governing body that is collecting statistics on these things. Um, Puff Daddy Diddy was not a Mason of any degree, at least not to my knowledge. Nice try, only North Zone. Please hit like, please hit subscribe, and please consider some of those gifts. I'm almost at 2,000 rubies. So, as Dad said, the highest degree in Freemasonry is the 3rd. Other degrees are honorary. Not for a Grand Lodge that's global. At most, you'll be signing up for the Grand Lodge within the jurisdiction. So when I joined Freemasonry, I signed a consent form that provided information to the, consent to the Grand Lodge in Ontario, but that didn't apply to any other Grand Lodge anywhere else. It applied exclusively within Ontario and within the Ontario jurisdictions. Um, Absolutely, Polk puts it right. All degrees are something of which we can be proud. That includes the 3rd degree. This whole thing about the 33rd degree as being somehow special, I don't know why people are so obsessed with it. It's very strange. We're going to give it a bit more time. Just wait to see who joins. Please take a moment, hit the like and subscribe button. No real topics on Fridays. We just hang out, chat about whatever. So, Yes, each Grand Lodge does have their own book of constitution. That's one of the biggest misconceptions people have about Freemasonry is this idea that there's a single governing body. That is not how it works. So you just need to keep that in mind. I don't know what you mean by how does it work. I mean, how does I would be honored to join the shrine. Absolutely. I would be grateful to join the shrine. It would be truly an honor. But one day in the future, my focus right now is on this thing called Freemasonry. This thing, I mean, shrine is part of Freemasonry, but on this thing called Square and Compass Promotions in particular. More so than anything else, which I'm grateful for, but it is a lot of work. So it doesn't necessarily give me a lot of time to focus on joining the shrine, or even for that matter, joining York Rite or joining, another appendant body. I am promoting the ways Freemasonry was and is relevant to the communities in which it's located, as well as promoting stories of Masonic interest. So I'm promoting the concept of Freemasonry. Maybe not Freemasonry itself as something that people can join or not join or whatever it might be, but rather the um, the idea of Freemasonry, the relevance of Freemasonry. Freemasonry is something that I think is value. Freemasonry is something that I think is of value. Yeah, looking back, I mean, maybe the word could be changed. I could have used Square and Compass Productions, I suppose. But I think, that would be hard to say. I think I want to make sure people understand there is something within Freemasonry worth promoting. Maybe not membership per se, because I think that's more of an individual choice. But I think it's worth promoting the idea, the relevance of Freemasonry, the idea that Freemasonry matters and is important. I think that's worthwhile. You do take an oath to join the Freemasons. Again, I never give specifics about the oaths or the um, rituals. What I will say is, as I've noted before, within Freemasonry, there is nothing um, within Freemasonry, and including in the oath, that is against one's civic, religious, or moral responsibilities, or familial responsibilities, or religious kind of beliefs. So, yeah, but calling it education, I mean, I guess I could say, yeah, my goal is to educate the public or educate people on the ways Freemasonry was and is relevant to the communities in which it's located. Um, Although I think education, I don't know, I like the word promotion, but I suppose you're right, it can lead to some confusing kind of understanding. Square and Compass for Dummies. There's already a Freemasonry for Dummies, so I don't want to steal that by Chris Hodap. He does great work, by the way. He does great work. Well done to him. I hope he keeps it going. I really enjoy it. So, I mean, 1 a.m. are definitely the more interesting streams, shall we say. Please don't forget, hit the like button and the subscribe button. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you guys are doing well. Consider some of those gifts. I'm almost at 2,000 rubies. So if you want to send me some waves or thumbs ups or 67s, it'd be much obliged. It is relatively recent. Freemasonry did not evolve or began with King Solomon, who may not have even existed. He might have been a theological or a legendary figure. It began in 1717 or 1634. I am Rabbit Dog. Thank you so much. Please hit like. Please hit subscribe. Thank you, Poke Dreamlab, for being here. And consider a gift, Rabbit Dog. Help me get over 2,000. But I hope you are doing well. And yes, take your kids out. I mean, the way I would prove it, I would say check out the United Grand Lodge of England website, check out Freemasonry for Dummies. Now, it's going to talk about examples of stonemasonry from history and examples that we have used in modern times to review ancient, but that's a whole separate can of tuna. Just because we look back on ancient, we look back and we use ancient stories, ancient symbols. That doesn't mean Freemasonry literally evolved from those symbols. And that is true as well. There's no oath you take against being free or living with freedom. I'm just sending out a quick email, waiting to see who joins. Hello, Sapphire. How's it going? Please hit like and subscribe. Well, no like, no subscribe. Fair enough. Thank you for being here. I hope you're doing well. Thank you for joining. I hope that you will take a moment, hit that like and subscribe button. And nonetheless, despite you say no, let me know if you have any thoughts on Freemasonry. Positive, negative, or neutral. I'd love to hear it. Thank you for being here. Do the Freemasons own real estate outside of, I mean, I suppose it's possible for Masons to own real estate outside of their own buildings, but like as investments, I've never heard of it. I mean, most lodges simply are not in a financial position to own uh, real estate, but maybe some lodges would want to do it as an investment process. I've never heard of it. And I would think there would be some rules and regulations around how to proceed with that, both at the Grand Lodge level and otherwise. But maybe some lodges may want to try to own buildings as a source of revenue. Many Masonic lodges, though, absolutely own the buildings in which they meet and in which they operate, and they use them as a source of revenue by renting out space within the building. In some cases, it's like ballroom space, and they'll rent it out for productions and plays and celebrations. Um, so yeah, there are many different ways with which or within which Masons rent out space or own their own personal buildings. And that comes with all sorts of different rules and requirements surrounding, building codes and building compliance and things like that. When it comes to dues distribution, It really depends on the lodge itself. In my experience, the majority of the money that a lodge collects tends to go to the building in which they meet itself, either through rent or assessments or upkeep, whatever it might be. Um, if Then there's money that goes to the Grand Lodges for their assessment. It's almost like a tax. You can think about it. I know a lot of people don't like taxes, um, but it can be like a tax type of thing where basically you're paying for the services of Grand Lodge and then to the district as well. So run to me, confess your love. So, but again, what you brought up, beer blades, again, it connects to what I've been talking about in terms of the costs associated not just with Freemasonry, but with everything else. I mean, I mentioned the lion's share of the cost goes to building costs. If energy prices keep going up, that means it costs more money to power our buildings, to heat them, to cool them. That means dues may need to go up because you're paying more for the building itself. Or if refreshments. So before and after a lodge, there's usually a meal of some sort and drinks that's usually paid for by the lodge. Food prices are going up. And then if your dues are, let's say, 150 a year, but as a consequence of that, let's say you're spending more and more money on your gas to get to and from the lodge, on your expenses, whatever it might be. Can you still afford Masonic dues? Can you still afford to go to Masonic events? As I noted yesterday, there was a brother who said he was cutting back on Masonic visitation, including visitations to funeral services, because gas was just too expensive. I would hope, Dad, that we will start using, if possible, nuclear energy. Would be very happy if we did that, but we shall see. But I think we need something of some sort because I don't know if we can continue using. With energy costs keep going up, it's going to force the hands of people pretty soon to do something different. To use something different. Oh, interesting. Bay Roberts pays 50K to Masonic Lodge after placing traffic light on private land. It's interesting. New CAO who inherited dispute blames former staff consultants for professional oversight. The town of Bay Roberts has paid $50,000 in compensation to a Masonic lodge after a traffic light pole at Route 70 Sawdust Road intersection was improperly planted on private land nearly 3 years ago. A further $12,000 was also spent on legal and surveying fees as the town negotiated a settlement last year with Lodge McKay. We're leaders and have to accept responsibility, Mayor Jeff Seymour said this week when asked about the fallout that prevented the traffic and pedestrian lights from being activated for a year and a half. Route 70 through Bay Roberts, also known as Conception Bay Highway, is a busy road and not always driver or pedestrian friendly. So the town spent roughly $600,000 in 2023 to upgrade the intersection at Sawdust Road and Route 70 with new sidewalks and a four-way system of traffic and pedestrian lights. But one of the poles was placed more than a meter inside the property line of Lodge McKay, which has operated a Masonic lodge at the intersection since 1963. We came up and saw the pole was stuck there, said Bill Russell, the Right Worshipful Master with Lodge McKay. The mistake ignited a long-standing standoff between the lodge and town. Interesting. Undeclared? No, I mean, you can dress however you want outside of the lodge. Not every Masonic lodge has a dress code within the lodge, just for the record. You need to keep that in mind as well. But no, lodges will have, you outside a lodge you can dress as you want, right? Freemasonry is not a cult. It's not trying to tell you how to live your life. Certainly not outside of the Masonic lodge. I found most lodges are making that switch, Dad, to having meals before lodge, and I think it's better as a general rule. It seems to be people are enjoying it a lot more to do it that way. So. Freemasonry is not a cult, so you can't control what you wear outside of the lodge, obviously. Now, again, within lodge, there are some lodges that have a dress code and some lodges that don't. Blue and white. I'm not sure what the blue and white checkered shirts are to which you refer. There are there are like black and white checkered ties through, for example, fraternal ties. Goodbye, Dad. I love you. Thank you for being here. I'm so close to getting 2,000 rubies, so help me out. I'd be much obliged. And we're going to give it a few more minutes. Just wait to see what it's like and subscribe. Don't forget, I'm less than 100 jewels away or rubies away from 2,000. So if you guys want to help me out with that, I'd be much appreciated. Send some lucky clovers, send some hats, send all that good jazz. And join me tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. No, I'm Worshipful Master of Border Cities Lodge number 554. Thoughts on Mina? I don't know who Mina Kim is. Minimalism? I don't know a lot about it. Like as an aesthetic, I think it makes a lot of sense. I think you can see on my walls, minimalism is, I think, one of my favorite quotes is silence is the true language of God. Everything else is a poor translation. I think you can also view that as less is the true language of God. All else is a poor translation. So the less you have, the less you are showing off, the less you are, displaying. I think that gets you closer to some type of language of God or of supreme being. Having said that, there's also minimalism in life. I think you should try to be maximalist in your experiences, but minimalist when it comes to the things you take with you. Um, if that makes any sense. But less is more is very often very true. I love the Shriners. The Shriners are a very valuable part of Freemasonry, a very, very valuable part of our Masonic experiences and our Masonic family. They do a ton of great charitable work, and they're probably the most public facing aspect of the craft. It's interesting how, even in Freemasonry, there are people who will say like they hate Freemasons, but they love the Shrine, not realizing that the Shrine are part of what it is to be a Freemason. Just going to wait a bit longer, see who joins. Be back tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern. In the meantime, you want to help me get over 2,000 of these rubies, would be much obliged. Oh, thank you, Undeclared. We got a 67. That gets us closer. But no, I love the Shriners. I think the Shriners are an incredible organization group. We're just going to keep hanging out. We're just going to keep waiting to see who joins. Once again, no specific topics on Fridays. Fridays is just talk, chat, see what people want to talk about. Um, all right. Who is ROJ? I'm not sure who that is. Hello, Big C431. Oh, they're through the shrine, right? I don't know much about the Royal Order of Jesters. I understand they're through the shrine. I don't know if we even have any Royal Order of Jesters in Ontario. Let me see if we do. Because you have to be a Shriner first. If I recall correctly, their motto is Mirth is King. I'm trying to see if we have any Royal Orders here in Ontario. I don't believe we do, but I could be mistaken. Oh, Well, it looks like maybe there's one in Ottawa. It's not something I've ever actually dealt with, or I don't think I've ever met any members of the Royal Order of Jesters. I've met plenty of Shriners. I've been to a few Shriner meetings. Oh, here it is. Known locations include Florida, New York, Nebraska, South Carolina, Nevada. Um, I don't believe there's any in Canada, but I could be mistaken. Um, will you bring me to a meeting one time? No, you got to be a member. So if you want to look at joining a meeting, then join Freemasonry. But to do that, you need to first do the application process. Now, many lodges will hold special events, celebrations, banquets, open houses. You can absolutely deal with all of that, and I encourage you to do so. Even if you came to Windsor, I still would not bring you to a meeting. That's not how it works. But to my understanding, Royal Order Jesters is pretty declining pretty substantially. So, well, Winnipeg, everywhere in Winnipeg is wonderful. So just make sure to go. It's one of the best cities ever. It's my home. So whatever you think of me, if you like me, then you can congratulate Winnipeg. And if you don't like me, you can blame Winnipeg. No, you're not in trouble, but you also don't get to come to a meeting unless you're a member or if it's a public event and a public celebration. In which case, you need to calm down. Now you're getting in trouble, Big C. You need to calm down a bit with that stuff. Um, Winnipeg's awesome. I love it. It's a great city. I was born there, born and raised. Transcona specifically, and I love Transcona. One of the greatest little suburbs in one of the greatest cities in the whole world. Well, I don't know if they're open, right? The whole anonymous thing is probably a pretty important part of it. And we're just going to keep hanging out. We're just going to wait to see who joins. You should just focus on your AA meetings yourself. Don't bother bringing me to them. You just go and you just hang out there yourself and focus on getting yourself better. Um, I don't know what Edomite means. I've never heard that word before. I mean, I think I just looked up quickly. I think it's a subset of Israel. Like Freemasonry is not religious and it's not ethnic. We have members of all different religious, ethnic backgrounds. We have some Masons who are Jewish, some who are Christian, some who are Hindu, Sikh, Buddhist. Usually, Freemasonry simply reflects the conditions of the communities in which it's located. That's all. So if you happen to be in a community where it's, let's say, majority Christian, the Masonic Lodge will usually be majority Christian. At least that's been my experience. Not if you keep saying how much you love me, because that's creepy, Big C. So focus on making friends outside of YouTube. How's about that? Knights Templar, because I don't know you, so you can't love me. Knights Templar is what about Knights Templar? They are so in Masonic terms, they represent the highest kind of level chapter, if you want to use that term, in York Rite. They the iconography of them comes from the original Knights Templars, which existed from approximately 11, I forget when, 11 something to 1307, and famously were executed by order of the Pope and the King of France. When Freemasonry was forming in the 17th century, all right. right, when Freemasonry was reforming itself in the 17th, or when Freemasonry was forming itself in the 17th century and 18th centuries, when they were looking back at historical legacies, they saw within the Knights Templar a organization and a group from which they could take iconography, symbols, symbolism, philosophies, and apply it to their to themselves. The famously was the speech by Andrew Raymond, Chevalier Andrew Raymond, who in 1737 claimed that the Crusaders, which people understand to mean the Knights Templars, that the Crusaders were the original Freemasons, but I've always viewed that as apocryphal and not real. Not it's an apocryphal story. It's a symbolic story. Well, you don't have to like me. I mean, why not both? It's not Yorkshire, it's York, but York or Scottish Rite, I mean, I appreciate them both. I'm grateful for them both. I would say I'm Scottish Rite. I'm proud to be Scottish Rite, but York Rite is a wonderful organization also. Yes, I've seen many Freemasons use a Quran, use a Torah, use an eagle feather, which is not a text, but it's a representation of one's faith. Um, so yeah, York has less degrees, but they have more chapters, and it's not a matter of less and more. It's not the type of thing where, like, if you're at the highest level of York, right, you're at the same level and as high of a level as a 33rd degree Scottish Rite Mason and as a third degree Master Mason. You could argue you just took a different path to get there. But taking a different path does not equal taking a lesser path. So, I mean, I wouldn't be able to say. I've known police officers who are Scottish, right? I've known police officers who are York, right? Including retired police officers. So I don't know what the actual numbers would be um, in terms of what is, if there is a tendency for police or military to be more likely one right or another. We're going to be ending this stream soon. One last call. We're at 1.9K, so 1900, over 1900 jewels. If you guys want to give me or leave me some gifts, it'll help me get over 2000, and I would be grateful. So we're almost there. There are many Hirams, probably an apocryphal or legendary figure is my suspicion, but a central and important figure within Freemasonry, that's true. Oh, we got some poutine. We did it. We're at over 2000. Thank you so much, Undeclared. I mean, again, it'd be interesting to see and have a historian on to talk about this stuff more literally and ask the question, to what extent do we think, like, even King Solomon actually literally existed? I don't think he did personally. Again, an important figure within Freemasonry. If you want to know how and why he's important, you got to join. Probably, though, an apocryphal figure. In my experience, probably not a real person. There is one mention of a Hiram in the Bible, not Hiram Abiff, just Hiram, for the record. I forget what chapter. But yeah, you can't have blasphemy in Freemasonry because Freemasonry is not a religion. And again, if you're talking about blasphemy in terms of whether I think Solomon existed or not, I think there's a lot of different debates right now about whether King Solomon was or was not a real figure. Hiram is, if I recall correctly, Hiram Abiff is not, but we don't know just because something's mentioned in the Bible. I mean, unless your religious faith is one where you take the Bible, like literally everything in it is true, which I'm not sure if I would accept that as everything being 100% true. All right, well, I guess I'm a blasphemer. You can't blaspheme against Freemasonry because Freemasonry is not a religion. And I never said I was a Christian either, right? I'm not sure to what extent the Bible is 100% accurate versus metaphorical versus theological versus philosophical versus apocryphal. I'm going to start a stream tomorrow at 2 p.m. I'm not saying I'm going to go for 24 hours, but I'm going to try to go on for as long as I can. We're going to start by watching the long walk and work from there. So join me tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern. All right, guys, I'll talk to y'all later. Thank you so much for being here. Please hit that like button and that subscribe button on the way out, and I look forward to seeing you all soon. All right, talk to you later.